Welcome to Real Grief, Real Healing with Mindy Corporon. I am your host, Mindy. A friend of mine told me in early 2018 that she saw a vision of me with a microphone in front of me. I laughed at the time and said, "I don't see any microphones in my future." Less than a year later, I was recording my first podcast on this show. I'm not going to say, "I hope you enjoy this podcast." My podcast is not truly meant to be enjoyed. Real grief, real healing is just that, real and raw. I provide you an opportunity to learn and share in the grief others are experiencing, and then we share how they are healing or perhaps not. Grief changes each of us in some way. Many of my guests have been encouraged to open new businesses, start foundations, and in general, work to make the world around us a better place. Grief is universal. How we decide to move onward, seeking healing, is individual. A significant part of my healing comes through the courageous kindness actions of others. As you listen to my podcasts, you will hear how you can give and receive courageous kindness too. Together, we are better.
Welcome to Real Grief, Real Healing with Mindy Corporon, taking a deep dive into the reality of the difficulty grief brings and offering insight into the healing available to each of us. Today, episode 6, Mindy welcomes special guest Sunayana Dumala. And now your host, Mindy Corporon.
Hi friends, Mindy Corporon. Thanks for joining me on Real Grief, Real Healing. Today, it is going to be such a joy for you to hear from my friend, Sunayana Dumala, and let me give you a brief introduction to her. Unfortunately, I met Sunayana because of a tragedy. Sunayana lost her husband, Srinivas Kuchibola, on February 22nd, 2017, and it was a hate crime. But what Sunayana is going to talk to us about today, and that I'm excited for you to hear from her mouth, from her wisdom in this in particular, is about the fact that not only did she experience a hate crime, she experienced the brokenness of the immigration system. And after the hate crime and dealing with grief, she's going to share with us about the process she went through in her mind about saying to herself, "I want to leave the United States," to "I want to be in the United States and make it a better country for all of us." Friends, please welcome my friend, Sunayana.
Thank you so much, Mindy, for having me on your podcast show. I really feel honored and very pleased to be a part of the initiative that you have taken up to help people heal through their tragedies or anything that they're going through in their life, and how they can move onward and find a new purpose to their life. So thank you so much. As you mentioned, my life drastically changed 3 years ago on the night of February 22nd, 2017, which was supposed to be a just normal day for both me and my husband. But it did not end up being that normal day for us. My husband, Srinivas Kuchibotla, who was employed with Garmin Aviation, he went out with his friend to just have a beer after work and catch up on different things at the Austin's Bar and Grill here in Olathe, Kansas. And they were just enjoying their beer. And there was this guy. I'm sorry, I don't have a name for him. So there was this guy who started interrupting them using racial slur and questioning their status in the country and using very foul, hatred language towards them. And there are also good people in this around us. So those good people who were at the place stepped up. They stepped up, and then they supported my husband and his friend, and they asked this guy, why are you asking them like that? Like, why are you misbehaving with them? Just mind your own business. And when he was still continuing to do so, they had to involve the bar manager, who asked him to walk out because he was spoiling the atmosphere. Um, what nobody realized is that this man would come back um, half hour later, and with the sole aim of shooting and killing both um, uh, my husband and his friend. I'm so glad that our friend was able to come out of this incident, and nothing happened to him. But unfortunately, Srinu succumbed to his injuries, and he lost his life that night. And when cops came and told me that Srinu was indeed present at the bar that night, and he was the one who was critically injured and lost his life. That came as a shock. I mean, I just did not know how to take that news. I mean, he was the first person I contacted when I had to come to US. He's been my rock, my support, uh, my everything. I mean, he was literally my 911. So, I mean, I
And so Nina, you were alone when they came to the house to tell you. Is that correct?
um, just minutes before the incident, one of my friend came to the house because um, a group of people. Alok, who is our friend, who was in the bar and with Srinivas that night. He was able to intimate his family or somebody that he's gotten involved in the shooting, and they're going to the hospital before he lost his consciousness. So some of them, they went to the hospital. So when cops told them that they have to first reveal to Srinivasa's spouse, one of my friend drove home so that he can be with me when cops would come and tell the the news to me. So yeah, I had a friend with me at that moment, but as such, I was alone all that evening when I first read about shooting in the Facebook post that one of my friend made. um, at first I wasn't that frantic, but then when I was trying to reach Reno and his phone was going to voice message, and I was trying to reach Alok and his phone was going to voice message. And like when I was not getting any information, that grew tension and anxiousness and everything in myself. And I was just praying that please God, it shouldn't be Shrino, please. And unfortunately, something else was written in destiny for us.
I was in my kitchen when I received a message from a friend on my phone saying that there had been a shooting at Austin's Bar and Grill in Olathe, and that people had been shot, and it was suspected that someone had lost their life. And at that moment, I had planned to do more work that evening, but I couldn't. Mm-hmm. I couldn't do any more work. Physically, I had just had to go to bed. Physically, I had to go lie down. I felt so horribly sad for the family members, meaning you and other family members, that I didn't even know yet.
Yeah, I mean, when you are not part of anything like this, and when you hear about incidents happening, you feel connected, but then it takes a different turn when you are in that shoes, because now you know what it is to be in that shoes. And I think that exact same thing happened with me. I mean, even when cops came and knocked on my door and then they asked me, could you find a place to sit? I just sat on my stairs, because I was so eager to hear something from them. I just sat on the stairs and I was just looking at them with so much hope and prayer that they would just tell me that he's critically injured and we are trying to uh, revive him. But when they said, they asked for his name, they asked for his date of birth, just to confirm they're in the right house. And I was like, okay, I was just in a hurry to give them those details, because all I wanted to hear was to tell them, to hear them to say me that he's okay. But when they said, we are very sorry, your husband was involved in this shooting, and the doctors could not um, keep him alive. And I felt like I heard something else, and I asked them, "Are you sure? How are you sure? Did you see my husband?" They were like, "No." Then I was like, "Is he 6 feet tall? Is it? If you haven't seen him, how are you even sure it's my husband? Like, how can you tell me it's my husband?" And I, my my brain and my heart wasn't ready to accept that truth that my husband, who left work and who was supposed to come home for dinner, is not going to come back. I mean, like, he's physically going to be absent from me.
It's horrible. It's a horrible pain and a horrible reality.
Yeah, yeah, very much true. And I just wish nobody has to go through this pain.
You know what, Sunayana, I commend you and am honored that you're on the show. But you know what our friends listening will understand probably by the end of the show is that you and I have become really close friends, and I wanted so badly for you to have an opportunity to share that story, because you can share it because you've healed, and I know you've had significant sadness, and I know you still do. We just passed Serena's birthday, and I know we messaged on that and talked to each other through that. But tell us what you do when depression and sadness show up for you. What are some tricks? What are some things you've learned? What do you do when you know you're going to have a difficult day, or if a wave of grief comes upon you?
So, I mean, I've learned that grieving is also it's a process of evolution. Like, each person takes it in a different way, and I think I'm still in that process of evolution while I'm still grieving the loss of my husband. But some things I do is, I love to cook. So I sometimes I cook something, and I keep in mind that what would Shrino would have loved to eat, and then I try to cook, thinking about him. And I like music, so I listen to a lot of Indian music. I sing, and I've made it a habit to myself in the last 2.5 years, that when I'm getting ready, I have a Bluetooth speaker in my master bathroom, and I hook on songs to that speaker and I sing aloud. And that's how I begin my day. I sing songs.
That's great. So, what put you in that position to give yourself permission to sing out loud? Did you sing out loud with Srinu before he passed?
Yeah, I used to sing. I was always passionate about music growing up, and Srinu encouraged me to pursue to learn Indian classical music after we moved to Kansas. So I started taking some training into classical music. Unfortunately, the teacher I was going to, she moved out of Kansas in 2018, and I got a break. I've been too lazy to find a new teacher, but I continue to practice. I continue to sing. I think Shrinu always appreciated that singing. If you don't mind, I can sing one of Shrinu's favorite songs of his favorite hero.
Oh, yes, please do.
Um, हर घड़ी बदल रही है रूप जिंदगी छाँव है कभी कभी है धूप जिंदगी हर पल यहाँ जी भर जियो जो है समा कल हो न हो हर पल यहाँ जी भर जियो जो है समा कल हो न हो. So what that song means is that um, the phase of life changes every moment. Sometimes it's of shade, sometimes it's of it has sun. So live every moment as there is no tomorrow, because you never know what's tomorrow like.
Sunayana, that was beautiful. That was amazing. You've told me that you had taken lessons and that Srinu had encouraged you. That was what a blessing. You are a gem and you've been hiding that talent. So that's interesting. So that was his favorite song before he passed, to live a song about living every moment.
Yeah, this song is from a movie when we were growing up. I think late 90s. This movie is called Kal Ho Na Ho. Um, Kal means like there may not be a tomorrow. That's the movie title translation to English, and it stars a Bollywood hero called Shah Rukh Khan, who is Srinu's favorite hero.
That's great. We are so blessed. Our listeners just don't even know how blessed they are to get to hear you sing that live. Let's move on to talking about what I know one of your significant passions is now, and it's called Forever Welcome. I would like you to explain, how did you name your foundation Forever Welcome, and then why did you open a foundation?
So after the incident, I'll be honest with you, and I'm sure you would be okay if I call you Akka, because I'm much comfortable calling you Akka rather than Mindy.
Okay, so let's just tell people what akka means. It's a good thing. Sunayana told me that akka means big sister.
Yes, and I think in our uh, last 3 years of evolution to our friendship, I've made you my Akka because you are very close to my heart.
Likewise, sweetheart.
Yes. So to continue, Akka, I mean, I think after the incident, obviously, like I said, I felt what it is to be in the shoes. And to be honest, at first, when I heard and that Srino's life is taken away, the instant reaction that came to my head was that I'm just going to leave. I'll just go back. But then, when as I had time to process this information, because we were not allowed to they had to go through the process of autopsy and things like that. We were trying to find a funeral home where we can have the observation hours with Srinu and as such. And I got to learn more about the incident, and I when I got more insight of what led to the incident and how this man reacted out of ignorance, I think that's when my head started processing it, and I felt like I need to do something. I can't go back now. going back is not a solution, and I have to be here, and I have to continue to do what Srinu was doing for all those belief that he had, and for all the other people in that bar that night, and following through the days that helped us, and that showed us the true meaning of a community and what humanity or being human means. So the religion, the countries, the boundaries, they all come afterwards. Humanity is a first thing that should be given preference to. And so I started thinking more towards that. And I wanted to, like, all the message, the overwhelming love and support I received, I wanted to give that same message to others in the community, more to the immigrants who are coming as me to this country to fulfill their dreams, to get that better quality of life. And so, with that in my mind, I reached out to my CEO. I work for In Touch Group. My CEO's name is Farouk Kepan. I reached out to him saying, I want to do something. I want to stop more people dying. And how can we start it at a grassroots level in our company? And to my surprise, he presented it at a company town hall, and he asked for volunteers and how they can help me. And that's how we had a group of volunteers at In Touch that came forward, and we brainstormed on different ideas and how we can give this message of unity and hope, and most importantly, the message of welcomeness. And so that's how Forever Welcome took its birth. Um, in by saying we chose the word forever welcome, because by saying forever, we are not limiting it to a definite time period. We are saying it's for infinite time. It's in the past, current, future, for infinite time. And then we are saying welcome is that everybody is welcome for that infinite time. And we are emphasizing on the word we, because by that we are saying it's not you, it's not me, it's we. And that's how we become a one community.
And that's beautiful. I love that you were brave and courageous and you went to your CEO in the first place. I love that. And because you didn't feel brave. I know we've had that conversation several times, how you did not feel brave, but you went to him. And then I love that he opened it up to that town hall. Were you there for the town hall when they were discussing it, or were you?
No,
Okay.
I was still in India because I went to India to perform the funeral of Srinu for the Hindu customs and with the family. And So you know this, akka, but I just want to let your inform your audience as well that I not only lost my husband that night, but I lost my legal status to stay in the country. So I became a dual victim of hate crime and immigration, the broken immigration system. So when I went to India, I did not have a way back to come back. So the town hall happened while I was waiting through to figure out a way to come back to United States and my home.
Right. And that whole process of you, really your entire first year of grieving Srinu, you were fighting to get status so that you could come back. Can you give us a little information about that and where you are now with your status?
So as I said, Srinu was employed with government on an employment-based work visa, which is called H-1B visa, which is given to individuals to be able to work on a temporary basis in the United States. And and you can then later, your employer can file for your permanent residency, which is green card. So Srinu green card was under process. But because there are a lot of uh, individuals who come from countries like India and China, there is a backlog of people who are waiting in line to receive their permanent residency. So even though Srinu had an approved petition in July of 2010, we've been waiting in line since then because of the backlog that's been for those who are from India and China. So at the time of the incident, and when the incident happened, because Srinu is a principal holder of that work visa, and I was on the dependent visa with him, I lost my status to stay in the country because the principal applicant is no longer alive. And that's how I lost my legal status. So what followed, and as you mentioned, yes, the first year, I don't I don't even remember how that first year went because of all the paperwork and everything that I had to do to get my status back. I am very fortunate and thankful to few people who stepped forward to help me in that situation, including my employer again, who filed for my own work visa so that I can have my own work visa and continue to work for them and be able to stay in United States. So I am currently on my own H-1B, which is the temporary work visa that is being given to foreign nationals.
Great. I know it has been a long process. I want to thank you so much for allowing yourself to be vulnerable today. You knew that I was going to ask you these questions. You knew you were going to be talking about that date again, and that's not always pleasant, but you are getting practiced at it, and I applaud you for that. I want to end with you. I want to ask you this question: how can we help you when you get to speak publicly in this way? How do you want to ask for help? And I want to ask our listeners to pay attention to what you're going to say.
I've just the Forever Welcome started as a Facebook initiative, and it's now officially a foundation as of last year. So I'm still working on building up and getting it up to a functionable mode. But I would encourage people to visit our Facebook page, read through our posts and stories that you've been sharing about contributions of immigrants to this nation, and educate oneself and also educate others. So and I also would like to ask everybody to keep on the lookout for activities that we are going to do. We'll be posting that on our Facebook page regularly until we get our website up and ready. So until then, please be patient with us and help us with our initiative.
Thank you, Sunayana. Thank you. My friend, my dear friend. Now, Sunayana, I need to call you little sister because you call me big sister. So what's the word for little sister?
It's chelli, Chelli.
Chhelli.
Yeah.
Okay, my Chhelli. You have a fantastic day. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much, Akka. I think of the many people who have become a part of my life since the tragedy, you are one of those important people. I look up to you for my inspiration. You taught me how to be poised while still grieving and trying to get that message that we are trying to give. So thank you for being part of my life.
Love you.
Love you too.
Friends, thanks so much for joining me today for this podcast of Real Grief, Real Healing with Mindy Corporon. If you want to dive deeper into how you might heal yourself or a friend, please pick up a copy of my book, Healing a Shattered Soul. Published on May 3rd, 2021, you can find my memoir anywhere books are sold. You will also find me in social media channels as Mindy Corporon. Take time to help yourself heal. Accepting courageous kindness. Take time to heal another by giving courageous kindness. Together, we are better.
Real Grief, Real Healing is copyright 2021 to 2022, Mindy Corporon, all rights reserved. Our theme music is composed by Dave Croft and used with permission. This podcast is a production of 818 Studios.